Okay, we are live. Okay. All right, we are live on Facebook. I welcome you all to this show. And yeah, my guests, you are all looking beautiful. And I welcome everyone who is watching us right now. Just a quick one. I want to let you know, guys, that we are here not because we are the best when it comes to discussing matters of national importance. We are here simply because the leaders that we elected to those positions in the government, what they're doing, the experts, the economics, the legislators and all that, what they're doing is exactly the total opposite. And we see it as a good thing to come out and also be part of this. So expect the best from these people, expect ideas, expect solutions to the challenges that we are facing as a country. Today, we are kicking off with this program, the Ready Friday, which is going to be premiering, and it's going to be premiering the second week of the month. And we shall be discussing matters of national importance the second week of the month. So expect us every that time. So today we are having 10 participants on this show from different parts across the world and from different tribes across Uganda. I want us to start with the Angela from Canada. Angela, good to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Angela.
Yes, sir.
I understand that the Uganda government has borrowed a lot of money from international organizations. And as we speak now, actually the government wants to borrow more and more money. An example is the 150 billion. I heard it is to facilitate opening the airport and all that. Angela, I want you to comment on that impact, the impact of borrowing in a long term. Can you please take a speed on that?
By all means, yes. Thank you so much, everyone who is watching. My topic is about borrowing, and so I just want to let all comrades in the struggle know that we got numbers. They're very bad numbers, and I'm ready to present everything to you. So, anyways, let's begin. So, who are our lenders? We have IMF, we have the EU. We have the Uganda National Treasury. So apparently Uganda gets the money from the Bank of Uganda. So that's why I'm thinking that's what the National Treasury is. And also from the renowned local business owners. So those are our lenders as well. And also Canada, where I live right now, is funding Uganda through the African Union. The USA is funding Uganda through the USAID. And China is also funding Uganda. Now, so the question is why are they borrowing us money? Like what's the purpose? What's the importance of borrowing us this money? So they claim that they are financing the Uganda's, number one is financing Uganda's COVID-19 preparedness and response plan, which is basically to help provide PPE, which is personal protective equipments like the gloves and masks and all that, the gowns and all that kind of thing, test kits and laboratory equipments like thermometers, everything, all those things. So that's all entails in the preparedness and response plan for COVID-19. Furthermore, they go on and say they are funding Uganda because Uganda's growth is at risk. Well, we're all seeing the locust invasion, we're seeing the floods, we're seeing our natural resources, being tampered with. So they say they are financing us, or they're financing Uganda, to help curb these kind of things. So the economy is better. And lastly, they say they're funding Uganda because of the social protection. This one entails supporting the most vulnerable people in Uganda or in different parts of the region. My own thinking is the poor, the sick, those who can't afford anything. But we all know what this, what this money is doing. Furthermore, let me take you through the expenditure of this money. This is, I have to warn you, this is not all that that's been
borrowed,
put out there, that's been borrowed. First of all, we all know about the 10 billion Ugandan shillings that was given to the MPs in order to help with COVID-19. We have the 12.8 billion that was given to the NRM MPs for bribery. We have the 59 billion Uganda shillings that was provided to the National Task Force led by Ruhakana Rugunda. We have the declared and undeclared monies, which we don't even know about, but I just wanted to put it out there. And lastly, we have the classified budget, which has about 400 billion Uganda shillings from the month of March, which was this March of last March to April. So in April alone, there's the 1.9 trillion Ugandan shillings that is, that's going to go in the budget. So they claim. Now, the consequences of this borrowing, basically, is putting Uganda at a huge debt burden, domestically and internationally. I would like to take you, just to give you a few examples, the stock of government debt increase, of the stock of Uganda's government debt increased by 10% in year 2017 to 2019. So basically that 10% increase is, I'm gonna convert it to numbers. So basically, from 2017, it was from 42.4 trillion Uganda shillings to 47.3 trillion shillings. Now that's where the 10% comes in. So where does that put us in percentage? So from 2017, it was 38% to 2019, which is 43%. By the way, we're talking about 2019, 2020 years. Okay, so now I have to take you more further on that, talking about percentages again. The IMF only has a threshold, I mean the limit of what the governments can borrow, so their threshold is at 50%. So right now Uganda is at 43%. Okay, now that is giving Uganda a leeway or a gap to to top up by 7% to get to not even 7%, yeah, 7% to get to 50%. Okay, yeah, 7% to get to 50% by year 2022, which is next year. No, which is 2 years from now. So more to that, it said here that the government has borrowed 6.3 trillion Uganda shillings externally and 535 billion Uganda shillings internally. Okay, that's for between 2019 and 2021. So that's all they have. That's all they have borrowed. So it tops up. Yes, sorry.
Can you hold it up there?
Yeah, sure.
I want you to, because the figures, they are very many. They're actually countless. What would be the long-term impact of over borrowing like we are in now?
Right, that's a good question. Thank you, JB. So we have to ask ourselves, like, these IMFs, the EUs, the African Unions, the Canadian, the Chinese, why are they giving Uganda money? Yet they know very well Uganda is a very small country, it's poor. So why are they giving them money? And they know that Uganda is not going to be able to pay this money, right? So my thinking is, number one, they want to keep, they're getting something. This is my thinking, guys. They're getting something from the Ugandan government. That's why they're giving us this money, right? So Uganda government is giving them something that we don't know about. In other words, then they give us this so they can keep him in power. They give us, they give him money. I'm not saying us because I'm not even, that money is not even, I'm not getting a share out of it. But anyways, they are giving him money so they can keep him in power. That's number one. And the other thing, my own understanding is Museveni is borrowing money because he wants basically he doesn't want the Ugandan country, because if you keep borrowing money, you're not going to grow. Your economy is not going to grow. It's going to be stuck in just borrowing and borrowing, right?
Economy cannot grow on borrowed money, right?
Yes, you're going to create a dependency on these funds, right? Anything that comes, right? Go on.
What would be the solution to this? Because look, we are looking for solutions. I want you to give me, if you can give me a short term or a long term or any solution to this.
Okay, short term, ask the Ugandan government for transparency to give to provide accountability for these kind of monies. And another short term, probably going into a long term, is write to these funders, ask them to stop funding Uganda. Okay, because this money is not helping any Ugandans at all. It's Ugandan. It's helping the Museveni government and his people. And most of all, the most important thing is vote Honorable Kyagulanyi if you want a better economy. Vote Honorable Kyagulanyi if you don't want to pay the 1 million. By the way, Ugandans, we are gonna pay this money back. And for now, from my understanding is, or my research is that every Ugandan 18 years of age to above is going to be paying 1 million Ugandan shillings. We don't know, we're not going to get it from anywhere. So vote Honorable Kyagulanyi if you want all this to go away. Vote Honorable Kyagulanyi for things that work and transparency. We're going to ask him where this money is going to go, because he will listen.
Thank you, Angela. That was a good submission. I want to cross over to Mr. Karim Mutambi from Washington, D.C. Mr. Comrade Karim, are you on? Comrade Karim?
Yes, I'm on. I hear you very well.
Comrade, I know the U.S. government has been working closely with the Uganda government in response to this situation of COVID-19. And I know that the Uganda government has received a huge chunk of money from the US and a lot more grants. I want you to talk about how that money has been utilized in Uganda today.
To follow up from what Angela said, we borrowed $495 million US through the Rapid Credit Facility program with the IMF. So that money is supposed to help us go through this pandemic. But whereas we borrowed $495 million, Ugandans are still stuck in their houses and starving. I think yesterday that you saw Museveni saying those people who would want their business to boost, they should go to Uganda Development Bank and get these loans. However, these loans are going to be given to a selected group of people. This money is not going to be monitored. So on top of that money that we borrowed, it is going to be us as the Ugandans who are going to bear the burden of paying that money. Secondly, the US awarded us a donation of $15 million to help in the health sector, recruit more people to help during the health crisis. Do testing and screening and establish testing centers, plus expansion of laboratories. All of that is nowhere. There is no facility that has been expanded in Uganda. I see they have procured masks, the budget for the masks that has been procured is bigger than the budget of Uganda's Ministry of Education, just for the masks. So that shows you how this government is offsetting money that is supposed to be given to people. Now, on top of the $15 million that had been given to us, the United States, through the United States Agency for International Development, gave Ugandans $10 million to be given as cash donations through an organization called Give Directly. Now, according to the US Embassy in Kampala, they agreed with Give Directly to be giving out $25 per person cash. That means that we would cover around between 166,000 Ugandans. that money is supposed to be a revolving fund, $25 each month for 3 months. So that means you're not going to cover. You're wasting $10 million being given as cash to only 100,000 Ugandans, give and take. On top of that, the way this money is being procured, the government of Uganda is working together with MTN, I think, to steal this money. Because when you go to the website of Give Directly, they are saying, the question is, how are you going to be giving this money to people? And their answer is, most of this money is going to be transferred through through their phones, through what is it called? Mobile money. Yeah. So the people who are most vulnerable don't even have access to these cell phones. So MTN broke a deal with Give Directly for the first bunch of money to buy them cell phones. Now, I thought MTN was coming in as a partner to make sure this money gets to the people, but MTN is going to get the lion's share because they are going to take part of that money and give cell phones to the poor people. Two, the numbers don't match. The US Embassy is saying that people shall be receiving $25 a month, and Give Directly is saying they will be giving between $60 to $70 a month, which is totally ridiculous. So all this wasteful spending has to be checked. We should prioritize better. If we have $10 million to be given cash to people, there are other areas that we can prioritize instead of getting a small group of people. I don't even know how the selection is going to be, because if you have 10 million US dollars and you're going to give cash to 40 million Ugandans, the number. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, such kind of stories we've had, but who is responsible for all this, and what should a common Ugandan do? Because look, we are going to keep telling these stories to these people who are watching right now. And look, we need a solution to this. I want you to give us an overview of what we should do.
First of all, this is not just a story. This is a fact. You could check with the US Embassy. The new leader of the embassy, Mr. Christopher Kraft, made a statement, and he was giving all these sweet stories, how they have been working with the government of Uganda to dispense the donations that were given. But on ground, there is no reality to that. Two, if you look at an organization like Give Directly, which has no roots in Uganda, it's a registered organization in the US. I don't know how it got a deal to give money to people who are in Uganda and how effectively it is going to work. I think this is a program that could have been run by indigenous CSOs that know the ground, that have roots on the ground. But by the time you finish all the bureaucracy, there will be no money to give Ugandans. And I guess no Ugandan has heard about Give Directly. I don't know whether you, Mr. JB Muwonge, has had on any TV an organization called Give Directly giving out cash to Ugandans. So I would like to call upon Ugandans in Uganda to reach out to the Ministry of Finance to ask for that money. Please call their number. I would also want you to call the US mission in Zambia and ask them for accountability. That money hasn't reached on the ground. It hasn't. So as of now, that is what that could be a start. We can start a conversation by holding these organizations accountable, and not only holding the US Embassy accountable, but we should also be able to reach out to other foreign missions that are responsible for giving money to a failing government that they know, government which is going to be out of power in the next 8 months. If you're giving it a loan of 495 million US dollars, these people are going to get away with it. So we are not ready to bear the burden. They should set a standard on how we are going to monitor and evaluate the usage of that money.
Mr. Karim, I'm sure this has been done, and very many of our comrades have managed to reach out to these organizations, informing them of the corruption, rampant corruption that is going on in different institutions of Uganda. And they have continued to give money to this government. What would be the final solution to all this if all those avenues, for sure they have failed? What would be the final solution to this? In just 1 minute.
One, Uganda is not for that for the donor community. I understand they have vested interest in the country. We have been working, for example, with the US government for the past 20 years. So we have bilateral agreements. But if these bilateral agreements do not work in the best interest of Ugandans, they should be cut. International development can only work if we are working on a basis of mutual interest and respect. But we think these people are pushing the money to us and they are giving it to people who are not going to be accountable. You've been working with a failed government for 20 years. I understand they are running your agenda. I understand they are helping you in the scheme of fighting terrorism and all that. However, you have to also understand that Ugandans as a people have a stake. They shouldn't be pushed. Their voices should be heard. And we should start a conversation on how we craft these bilateral agreements.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ntambi Karim, for that wonderful submission. I want to cross over to Comrade African Thinker, all the way from South Africa. Good to have you, Mr. Kamia, Richard. I'm sure you're having a wonderful time down there in South Africa.
Thank you so much, JP.
We've had you several times advocate for people to vote People Power Movement come 2021, right?
Yes.
What quantifies you that People Power will do things differently?
Thank you, JB, and thank you to all the listeners, all our listeners all over the globe, people from Uganda and Europe, America, and everywhere, people that are watching us. The People Power Movement has displayed in the past 3 years that it is ready to govern. We have seen how the movement has been able to establish structures that are able to take over power in Uganda. We have seen the movement establish the electoral people that are going to be responsible for the elections. We have seen the movement look after people during the COVID time. So with all the deeds that we've seen from the movement, it is completely undoubtable that this movement will be able to take people forward. I always say that we Ugandans are the architects of our own problem. Why do I say that? It's because we, the people of Uganda, brought this regime into power. We brought the dictator into power for the past 35 years. The people of Luwero contributed a lot in bringing this regime into power. The people of Uganda contributed a lot in bringing this regime into power. But for the first 35 years, where the current dictator stood at the door of parliament and said, Africa's problem are leaders who overstay in power, we have seen that he has been here for the past 35 years. The real problems that he mentioned 35 years ago are not yet gone. They are still here. What is our problem? Our problem is dictatorships. Our problem is the dictatorship in our country. Because for the past 35 years, we've been governed on a life of money and donations. We have witnessed the president go around giving out money to members of parliament. Just recently, members of parliament were given 40 million shillings in appreciation of having supported the program in parliament to change the constitution for the president to rule forever. The president has survived on bribery, giving out money to people who support him. The 40 million people was given out to close to 300 members of parliament from the NRM government. If you have to look at that figure, it is coming to close to 1.2 billion shillings in a country that does not have a working health system, in a country that has got a dead infrastructure, in a country that continues with rampant death and killings of opposition figures, in a country that continues with detentions of people that have different ideologies. We have a dictator that if you don't subscribe to what he wants, if you don't take money, then you get eliminated. We've seen so many people getting eliminated from our movement. We've seen comrades like Rita Kagwa getting killed by the regime. We've seen comrades like Kibalama disappear. Reason being that members of parliament close to the president are being bribed every now and then to kill the same institutions, the same democratic institutions that are supposed to make sure that democracy works. So the parliament has been rendered useless. And just recently, when the president gave members of parliament money, which is 40 million shillings in appreciation, we saw them praising him and giving him awards. There is a journal on Twitter who calls him the Bachwezi King, who is undefeatable, as if Uganda is a dynasty, as if Uganda is a monarch. That is a story for another day. Fellow comrades, money has been given to MPs, to a few individuals, yet we have people in houses dying of hunger. In neighboring Burkina Faso, when the president tried to amend the constitution to rule forever, the people and the youth of that country stood up and said enough is enough. They protested and the dictator is no more. He's now an asylum seeker in the Ivory Coast. You need to ask yourself, why do dictators do all this? Where do they get the power to do this? This is what happened. The reason why dictator like Museveni has to continue like this is because he knows that what he's doing, he will not be able to answer for it. The president is 75 years old, so he will not be here in the next 20 years. It is a leg that is over those years. So in other words, they are emptying the country's coffers to satisfy themselves and satisfy those that support them and those that go around and supporting their atrocities, because they know they won't be here. The prime minister is 51. 20 years from now, he will be 90 something, 100 years. They won't be here. So why are we allowing people that will not be here in the next 20 years to decide a future for us, to bring a program that will govern us for the next 20 years that they won't be here? Ladies and gentlemen, in 2014, the people of Burkina Faso ousted the dictator, who happens ironically to have killed Africa's most vibrant Pan-Africans, Thomas Sankara, 27 years ago. In 2014, the people said enough is enough, and that man is no more. What is the way forward? The people of Uganda have to stand up to go and vote. The actual work starts after voting, because after voting, you have to protect your vote. If you do not protect your vote, you cannot claim it to accurate. The actual work starts by us protecting our vote, because you need to realize that the actual opposite of democracy is dictators and dictatorships. So it is completely impossible that we can attain a democracy in a dictatorship. We have to, in a dictatorship, we have to get rid of the dictator first if we need Uganda to prosper. We have to go and vote for the people power movement, because it has displayed beyond doubt that it is here to serve the people. We've seen members of parliament from the opposition trying their best to give out money during the COVID and food relief.
Comrade African thinker.
Yes.
Of course, we have for long wanted to change from this brutal regime. And a number of players have tried. Formidable leaders like Dr. Kasese, Semogele, Mao, and all other people who have tried to stand for presidency. How do you quantify that the people power movement will do things differently? I want that how.
The people power movement has already displayed beyond doubt, from the little that it has displayed during the past few years, that it is the way forward for Ugandans. We have seen how the people power is advocating for full democratic values of our nation. We have seen the people power leader return 20 million shillings back to the president that had been as a bribe for him to continue to rule Uganda forever. The people power leadership has displayed beyond doubt through State of the Nation address that have been addressed by the people power. The people power movement has displayed by advocating for non-corruption. The movement has been advocating for comrades to stand for values. And the president of the movement has displayed that when he returned the 20 million shillings back to the dictator, who wanted to bribe members of parliament to continue being puppets to the regime.
All right. Thank you, comrade. Is there anyone who would want to give a comment on that?
Yeah, this is Donny from Sweden.
From Sweden. Yes, go on.
Yeah, actually, one of the way forward on that, what we as people power, we think we're gonna do something different is like, as of now, we are trying to mobilize the youth as many as possible to who will protect their votes in 2021, because we are very aware that Museveni is going to rig the elections. You never know, he will also be announced in the middle of the night. He has been doing this for a couple of times. And we don't need this thing of, okay, they have rigged us, now we are going to the court. What we know that Museveni is playing this before we even have the elections done. Already his opponents are in prison. We know that. So what we are as people power leaders, we are calling upon all the youths to protect their votes. Let them not just vote, let them stay there. And in case our votes are rigged, they should rise up. This has worked in other countries. So that's the only thing that we're gonna do different compared to other contestants who have been fighting Museveni. Mobilizing the youth as in big numbers, as many as possible, to see that they don't accept this time around. In case we try a peaceful demonstration and it's refusing, let us rise up. Let us stop listening to this nonsense, because it is either 2021 or never.
In conclusion,
yes, African thinker.
I want to emphasize that the people of Uganda have got a last chance to go and vote. And the most important part about voting is to protect this victory. Because if the people don't protect their victory, they will have no power to say it was rigged. It has been rigged during Kano Kizabesye's time. We have seen how it has always been rigged. And the time has come for Ugandans to protect their victory till the final day. I thank you. And on this Friday, we ask all Ugandans to wear their red, to post their red, to show satisfaction to the regime that has been in power for 35 years. I thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kamia Richard, aka African Thinker, all the way from South Africa. Let us cross over to New York and talk to my brother Ladit Emmanuel Lutakomoy. Mr. Lutakomoy, good to have you on the show. Hope you are having a good time down there in New York. First unmute your, let me first, okay.
Sorry for that hiccup.
Fine.
Yeah.
I hope you're having a good time down there in New York.
Very well, New York is fine.
Perfect. Down here in Uganda, things are not good. You know, the situation we are currently in, the COVID-19 situation, it has changed everything. It has turned everything upside down, including several activities. But more so, it has exposed the government. Currently, Uganda arguably has 679 cases of COVID-19, of which a few days ago, stories, you know, Mr. Lutakomoy will comment on that. I want him to comment on the situation we currently have, and also give your comment on the truck drivers that the government claims bringing this virus in our country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muwonge and the listeners. As I nonchalantly listen to all the speakers, I realize one thing, that Uganda is in a lost ship. We are lost in the middle of nowhere. And the ship is half full. We need to scuttle the ship. And this is the way to go. On the issue of truck drivers, I think it is a big exposition. You talk of 679. In February, we had 53 cases. But when COVID-19 became business and politics, it has gone up because of one thing, the truck drivers. Who are the truck drivers? These are very important people in our economy. You realize that these are people who transport merchandise for export and import. Unfortunately, we have less export, but a lot of imports. But again, what went wrong? The government of Uganda did not control, survey, and test the truck drivers from all the borders. Unfortunately, they ended up, spreading the virus to our women. This brings me to the question of prostitution. It's a sign of desperation. Our mothers, our sisters, our friends are selling their bodies in the illegal trade of sex working. This is an exhibit of desperation of Ugandans. And therefore, what am I trying to say? It is high time. It is foolhardy to think we do the same thing again and again and expect a different result. We must unite as Ugandans so that we uproot the dictatorship root and branch. I must say one of the most romantic writers of the 19th century, Hugo Victor, made a statement. He said, there's nothing that can stop an idea whose time has come. The people power idea. The idea that power belongs to the people as enshrined in the Constitution is very important for us Ugandans to view and vision and reconstruct our mindset that enough is enough and we must uproot dictatorship, oppression, root and branch. I must say this, the power of the oppressor lies on the fear of the oppressed. The moment we vaccinate our people against fear, in actually we say, la luoro odak imene, la luoro odak imene. A cow should go back to the womb of the mother. So I don't know how you go back to your mother's womb. Therefore, we must open our eyes, stop joking, wake up from the slumber nightmare that we're in. We have seen all these things. We lose $300 million on corruption. Yet Uganda only gets $25 billion on GDP, a minuscule compared to Kenya, which is $74 billion. So what am I saying? I'm saying it is high time Ugandans wake up from its slumber, like Martin Luther King said, unless we unite together as brothers, we shall die together as fools. Who are the responsible people? The government of Uganda. I believe that alternatively, we must have proper dissemination. We must have proper surveillance. We must have control at the border and testing. But unfortunately, when there is COVID circulating in the country, the guys buying the rotten food, spoiled milk will get the money. Unfortunately, by the way, this is the Uganda COVID-19. It's different from the US, it's different from the one of the world, because even the president do not know the number, whether it's negative or positive. So Ugandans, this has really exposed actually we say, the higher the baboon climbs the tree, the more you see the bat, the ugly bat. So fellow Ugandans, let's unite together.
All right.
Let me add on that.
You want to add something?
Yeah. So just to add on that, thank you, Comrade Lutu Kumoy. Basically, the question is, Ugandans, ask yourselves, why are these truck drivers coming in? What are they bringing in? What is that? Why aren't the borders closed, right? So whatever they are bringing into Uganda is not benefiting me, is not benefiting you. Okay, so the borders have to be closed, first of all, because Museveni is enriching himself by letting these people come in because they are bringing him his merchandise, right? Of course, okay. And then more to that, why are our sisters selling themselves to these truck drivers? right? There's something wrong going on here. We have to, as Ugandans, we have to come up strong, united, energetic, and support our Honorable Kyagulanyi because he is, you can see he cares about Ugandans and Africans in general. You can see, you saw how he brought, he helped some of the Africans stuck in China, right? So that's the kind of person he is. He cares about Ugandans, right? Comrades, everyone in the struggle, even those not in the struggle, what else do you want? What else can't you see, right? This is our person. People Power is bringing a very strong person, a very good person. I can talk more about his character, but I'm just letting everybody know that this person cares. Nobody has to sell their bodies because of circumstances, right? Nobody has to be poor. Nobody has to die by the roads, to give birth because the hospitals are poor or the healthcare system is bad, right? Vote Honorable Kyagulanyi come 2021, and after you vote, you have to protect your votes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Angela, from Canada. Mr. Comrade Emmanuel, would you want to just make a final remark in 1 minute?
Yeah. In 1 minute, I would say, if it's to be, it is up to us, Ugandans. We cannot do the same thing time and again and expect the different results. I think it's time we come together as one and uproot the dictatorship, root and branch. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Ladit. Dr. Komoe. I want to cross over to Texas and talk to my brother, Edward Abili. Mr. Abili Edward, are you on?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Hope you are having a good time in Texas. It is 11 a.m. and a few minutes past. I want to get your comment on the severe hunger and the poor food distribution we currently have in Uganda, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Abili, I want you to expound more on that in your perspective, and also comment on who is responsible about this and what we can do.
Thank you so much, viewers, and thank you, Mr. J.B. Muwonge, for coordinating this forum. Indeed, the world was faced with this major challenge of COVID-19, and the government of Uganda came up with very good directives, which was by the president of Uganda, and they were called the presidential directives. And one of these directives required Ugandans to stay home so as to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, which was a very good thing for Ugandans. However, Uganda is a third world country. That means that a lot of Ugandans are still very poor. They live on less than $5 a day. And so they had no food to provide for their families. And of course, we all know that Uganda has a ministry of disaster and preparedness. That ministry is responsible for such occurrences that are beyond human control. So government of Uganda promised to provide food since Ugandans couldn't provide for themselves. However, to our dismay, the process was handled in a very mischievous and frustrating manner. It's also important to note that the government of Uganda, besides all the monies that they've been borrowing around, they received donations, just like Mrs. Angela and Mr. Karim pointed out. They received money from the US mission in Kampala, from the UN agency. They received $316 million from the Danish embassy. the Uganda government received $2.10 million. In total, generally, the government of Uganda has received $2,328 million to provide food for Ugandans. And I'm just mentioning the big coffers without mentioning this other donations that came in from different companies and organizations. So this money is sufficient to feed the whole country during these trying moments. Unfortunately, Uganda is led by a very corrupt regime, a regime that does not care for its citizens, a regime that uses any opportunity to amass wealth. And this is exactly what is happening in Uganda. So Ugandans are in their houses, they're frustrated, and they're not getting food. Now, the government of Uganda came up with a scam distribution of money, sorry, of food. They scammed Ugandans and said that, oh, we are gonna provide you with food. And then they contracted a company called Aponye.
Yes.
For your information, Aponye is run by the First family. In other words, it's indirectly Museveni's company. And surprisingly, the president giving his family a contract in such a time, to our dismay, we were shocked to find out that even the food they were distributing to the Ugandans, like for example, the beans had stones, had sand. These are the people that Ugandans look up to for leadership. And you can really see that it's all about greed. So it's a, yes, Mr. JP, please.
Yeah, I'm very sure such kind of challenges, we needed to put an end to them. And I want you to give a solution to my mom down there in deep villages of Karamoja, who is still waiting for the government to provide food in this situation. What solution do you give to such an ordinary Ugandan?
First of all, an ordinary Ugandan that is in the country or outside the city, at least you have an opportunity to try to do some farming. However, it's still difficult if you're within the city confines where you are supposed to be in your homes and you can't provide for yourself, and most likely probably your businesses are closed. And so the solution is, first of all, Ugandans out there demand for these services from the government, the civil rights movements, the different leadership in Uganda. We have members of parliament, we have community leaders, and all the citizens. You gotta stand up for your rights, because rights are never given on a silver plate, especially if you have a greedy regime like the one that we currently have that does not care about its citizens. Mr. JB, if you may allow me to continue. I also wanted to point—
1 minute.
Yes, please.
You have 1 more minute.
Okay, I want to conclude that the biggest challenge in life is not by moving slowly, but is by not moving at all. So it takes a village to get a solution to our society problems, and I urge Ugandans to come up, to rise up, to raise their voices, and so that we get this regime out of power. Let's vote for Robert Kyagulanyi come 2021. Just like Martin Luther King said that our biggest challenge is not our oppressors, but the biggest challenge is those that kept silent, and yet they could have said something or done something to change the situation. For God and my country, thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Edward Abili from Texas. Is there anyone who would want to supplement on his submission?
Yeah. Just a brief supplement on what the comrade has said. I think we as Ugandans need to realize that there is a very thin line between change and what we're going through. And the only way we can cross that line is by changing our mindset. The biggest problem that we have in the country is one problem. It is the current regime. And the people have to realize now that change is a verb. We have to participate fully to achieve change so that we can win back the pearl of Africa that we all dream of. I thank you.
All right, thank you, Comrade African Thinker, all the way from South Africa. Let us now have a word from Namiaro Patricia, all the way from Washington, DC. Namiaro Patricia, are you doing fine? Are you on?
Yes, I'm doing okay.
All right, perfect. Patricia, can you enlighten us about the unfortunate incident of the Kasese floods that have devastated the communities in which people power has taken a keen interest?
Absolutely, JB. So before I can talk about the Kasese flash floods, I'd like to remind Ugandans about the Kasese massacre. You know, General Peter Elielu led his army to Kasese, acting on orders from above, meaning orders from the dictator. You know, they rounded up innocent children, men and women. They tied their hands behind their backs, stripped them naked, and butchered them in broad daylight, so as to prove a point that the government can do with the people of Uganda as they wish, which is an absolute no-no. That is impunity, and that kind of impunity needs to stop. Fast forward to 2020, right now as we speak, over 100,000 people in Kasese have been devastated and affected by the Kasese flash floods. They have lost all their belongings, their livelihood, they have no food, and they have no resources, you know? And the question here is, where is the Minister of Preparedness?
Yeah.
You know, you would think that they would already have prepared for such an event, because this is not the very first time Kasese is flooding. This has happened before, 2014, you know, up to now. It feels like the government is finding out about these issues at the same exact time that we are finding out about them. And there's a reason why. It is because they do not care about the Kasese taxpayer. They do not care about the Ugandan people. And again, that kind of impunity needs to stop. And the question we need to ask ourselves is that how has our leader, Bobiwine, responded to the people in Kasese? First off, Bobiwine was there in Kasese in 2014, before he even ran for president. He has always been a man of the people, right? And right now he is the people's president. Fast forward to now, he gave millions of Ugandan shillings to Winnie Kiza from the Alliance of National Transformation to take to Kasese, and Winnie Kiza was able to get the people of Kasese some of the immediate needs. And Bobiwine, we thank you for that contribution. So at this point, you would think that after 35 years of the Ugandan government being in power, they should have a strong representation of the Ugandan taxpayer, of the Ugandan people. And again, they have zero representation. When situations like this happen, like the situation in Kasese, the disaster in Kasese, the government basically comes in, they give the people posho and beans, then they wash their hands and they say, hey, we've come, we've served, now we're going to leave you to fend for themselves. And again, that kind of impunity needs to stop in Uganda.
Yeah, Comrade Patricia. Yeah, if you can hold it there. On that same point you are on, you know, this is not new. It has happened to various areas across Uganda. An example, Bududa, Bondibujo, and all those other areas where our cameras do not reach. In your perspective, what would be the short-term and long-term solution to this?
Well, it's very clear that Museveni is going to continue targeting, you know, socially and economically vulnerable poor Ugandans as a way to stay in power. So for the short-term solution, Ugandans, irrespective of race, tribe, and religious backgrounds, need to come together and fight against this dictatorship. Let us support Bobiwine, you know, and put him in the State House, you know. And another thing is, Bobiwine has already contributed to the people of Kasese through Winikiza ANT. And clearly, we would like to do more as people power. Bobiwine would like to do more. So we can donate money to the People Power movement through www.peoplepower.org.ug. Again, that's the short-term solution. And for the long-term solution, we need to get the people's president in office. Let us vote for Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and put him in office so that he can put a stop to this mayhem.
All right, thank you, comrade.
I wanted to interject.
Give a comment?
Yes, I wanted to give a comment on that.
Perfect, go on.
I thank us so much for having deliberated so eloquently on that. We must realize that the same problem of Kasese was in Acholi. 1.8 million people lived in the camps. Over 30,000 children were abducted and made sex slaves, and no one talked about it. And as I speak, over 500 children are dying today of nodding disease for the past 3 years. So meaning we have to come together and see that we uproot the dictatorship, root and branch. Remember, for the past 35 years, we have been having pseudo-election, pseudo-democracy. Dr. Besigye won several times. Now the moral question is, what are we going to do? As Diaspora, we must immediately start working off ourselves and see that we contribute financially to see that we overwhelm the dictatorship that has corrupted the country from the 1980s structural adjustment. I think that's the way to go. Thank you so much.
And add on that, JB.
Yeah, just in 1 minute.
Just in a second. So to add on that, thank you, Comrade Lutu Kumoy. Also, as you know, you mentioned something about diasporans, financially, doing more than that. However, I would like to also urge my diasporan comrades in the struggle, please next year go back home and help protect the votes, okay? Some of us are not gonna vote. We missed out on registration and all that kind of thing. However, we still have a chance. We are going to protect the votes. Let's all go back home. Let's all storm Uganda, all different regions, and protect our votes. Thank you.
Can I come in?
Thank you, Angela.
JB?
Hello?
Can I make a supplement there?
I just need 30 seconds. Okay, I'll give you, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for the comment. That was a brilliant presentation on what is happening in the floods. But then as a Ugandan, you need to ask yourself, look around Kampala. Just recently, we had floods around Lake Victoria because we have the ridge that built closer to the lake, hence suffocating the lake. How did the government respond? No ways. We have seen floods in Kanyanya and Kawempe. How does the government respond? It never responds. We have seen the People Power Movement leader coming in with aid for the people of Kasese, despite the fact that this movement collects no taxes from where. As a Ugandan, you need to take politics out of this and realize that we have to fight for this nation because nobody cares. I thank you.
Thank you.
1 second, Comrade JB, moderator, please.
All right.
It's not just about the floods, but just look at the background where you are to show the situation of Uganda. Thank you so much. So it's not about other places, but also it's like all over the country. It's not just about other parts of the world. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Thank you, Patricia Namial. Now I want to have a word with the Iron Lady. That is the Patricia Seung. Patricia Seung, the self-proclaimed Iron Lady. Good to have you. Hope you are well.
I'm good, thank you, JB.
All right. I want you to listen properly to this because this is very important. Many of our comrades continue to be arrested in a brutal manner. They are tortured, they are murdered, and done all sorts of things unspeakable. Recently, we saw a full member of parliament, Honorable Francis Zake, actually, to me, he experienced the worst of these people. And the State Minister for Internal Affairs, Mr. Obiga Kania Mario, came out and made statements that didn't appeal to the general public. I want you to take us through that and give your comment on that.
Thank you, JB, and thank you everybody who is listening. I'm Patricia, the Iron Lady, and the Echoto member. But everybody keeps on saying that we sleep. The elderly people keep on saying that at least Museveni brought peace in Uganda. Remember, in the times of Idi Amin, all the reason as to why Museveni went into war was simply because people were dying. People were killed in broad daylight. And it's amazing because Ugandans keep on saying that Honorable Kyagulanyi only have a degree in music, dance, and drama. Kania Obiga is the MP of Terego, the sub-county of Arua. He's got a degree in commerce and he's got an MB in business administration. He's the state minister of internal affairs. It is amazing that people have been brutalized every single day in broad daylight and no report has been produced. A young girl on a border with her mother was going to school just recently and she was shot, her mouth and everything. She was all messed up. And guess what? No report was given. In June 2019, Asman was killed in Bujiri. No report was produced. In February 2020, Rita Nabukenya was shot dead on a border simply because she was wearing a red t-shirt and a beret because she's people power. She was killed. No report was produced. Remember that Uganda paid over 126 billion CCTV to see exactly the crime that is going on in Uganda. Nothing has been produced. I'm coming. On that same day that Rita was buried, Dan Cheyune, a stray bullet, according to them, shot him dead. Nothing has been produced by the state minister who has a degree, who has an MBA. In August 2018, Yasin Kauma was killed in his constituency because he's in his district, because that is a constituency of Yasin of Kasiano Wadiri now. But he was shot dead and no report was produced. The president lied that he was brutalized by the people with stones. No report has ever been produced up to today. On the 23rd, 2018, Vincent Selugaya was shot dead in Gomba. In August 23rd, 2018, Yusuf Katende was shot dead. He was knocked actually deliberately by the police. In September 2018, Hannington Sewankambo, Sweet Peps, was brutalized by the police until he succumbed to death. In June the 7th, 2019, Lacombe Stephen, they shot his saloon and he died. There's no report. In August the 4th, 2019, Michael Kalinda was shot. His Ziggy Wine and Enanga lied. In August the 6th, 2019, Hakim Sekamwa was shot by the police. And here comes the state minister, Obinga Kania, with a degree, stands in the parliament in front of all the delegates, in front of the educated people and says that, guess what? Zake tortured himself. These people have disrespected Ugandans. They have stolen. They have done everything. As if that is not enough, they've killed everybody. It is not right, because when you see a man of his stature, with all the degrees like people say, and he still decides to turn into a fool of himself and becomes a president stongy who lies for him to make him look good, it's very disrespectful. And then they stand up on their feet and say, guess what? Bobiwine cannot be a president because he has no experience, he has no blah, blah, he has no blah, blah. It is disrespectful. Ugandans do not want experience. They want a real person who's going to understand what they're doing, because that same minister, the Minister of Internal Affairs, he's the same person that said he was one of the people, because they said that the guns that were put into Bobiwine's hotel room, where are they? They have not been produced till today.
Patricia.
People are playing around. Yes.
Patricia, we've seen a lot in the same line, and it seems this brutal arrest, murder, torture, and everything is not going to come up to an end, because we have spoken, we have managed to go to courts and managed to get bails of some of these comrades, but still the security operatives keep arresting our comrades, murdering them, doing all unspeakable things. What would be the solution? Because we are looking for solutions now. We want a factual solution to such kind of brutal arrests and torture, murder,
Short-term solution. Ugandans must, first of all, they must ask for accountability. We need reports on all these. Sorry?
First repeat it. I want you to.
On the short term, Ugandans must, and this is a must, and it is our ultimate responsibility to ask for reports of all these people who have died. It is not right, it is not fair for the fact that people are just dying. We have CCTV, they should produce the CCTV. They haven't produced anything.
Hold it there. Ugandans, when they are killed, they should ask for reports, then they continue being killed, ask for reports, and that's all?
That is a short one, I'm coming.
Okay.
Long term, Ugandans must stand together, united, to say that enough is enough. Please, Uganda, it is important that you have a camera with you all the time. If you live in the diaspora, record these things. Know the dates, know the names, keep the pictures, because you need factual information. Do not send information that is far-fetched or not coordinated. Send to so many different companies, IMF, your embassies, everywhere. Everybody needs to know that Ugandans are being brutalized. Ugandans are being killed. Please record these things. It is important that you have factual. You must have the date. You must have everything. And it has to be accurate. If somebody's asking, they do not want to say that you were telling a lie.
JB, can I add on?
Can I add on?
Yes, JB, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, you can jump in. It's fine.
Yes, thank you so much, Patricia, for the submission. I think we have underestimated the damage that the regime has done. First of all, I want to remind Ugandans that 2 days ago, a primary head teacher was shot dead by LDUs in Mukono. His name is Eric Mutasiga. Yeah. He died after being shot by the LDU. Now, this question goes to Ugandans, all of us. Do we value our lives? And how much longer can we wait for the bullet to come to us? We have to realize that we share a collective vulnerability to brutality, and we should fight it together. Because today, it is Mr. Eric Mutasiga. The other day it's written now Kenya. The other day it is coming close to you. So how are you prepared? Because this regime is not responsible for anything. All it's doing is to stay in power. So while we are talking, we shall also decide in our hearts, are we going to die as dogs, or we are going to stand up and rise up to this regime and say, no more, no more, you are not killing any of us again. You are not taking any innocent people's lives again. We are not going to see blood of our brothers and sisters on the streets of Kampala again. So before we think about what the government should do, we ourselves should think about, are we going to stay in such a situation for the next remaining 8 months, or for the next remaining 5 years? Are we willing to take on this? Because it might end up taking you in due course. So that is what I wanted to let Ugandans know. We have to stand up. Like they say.
All right, thank you.
Supplement a little bit, comrade.
Yeah, just 1 minute.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Yeah, that's why actually I said before, it is either 2021 or never. What Iron Lady Patricia has said, she has actually given us all the statistics of those who have been killed. But remember, if we don't stop this in 2021, that is what we are hearing, Muwonge project. That means if we don't vote for Robert Kyagulanyi in 2021, there is a possibility of this Muwonge project succeeding. And that means that these guys will even lead us, not leading actually, to rule us even after Museveni. Thank you so much.
May I interject in, please?
Debbie, can I finish?
Okay. Before you finish.
Okay.
That on the same point, I want to have a view from Comrade African Thinker. We've seen pictures of a black man being killed in the United States, and the reaction the Americans have done. Comrade African Thinker.
Yes.
Very many of our comrades have been killed in Uganda, and we have laws, but we've never seen such a thing happen to Uganda. I just want you to give us your view on that. Why what happened in America cannot happen in Uganda, yet all lives matter? And then we go to Comrade Patricia to give us a final conclusion.
Again, I'll say to fellow Ugandans, I'll repeat to say that there is a very thin line between the atrocities that we're going through and the really change that we want. We as Ugandans have got to believe that if George Floyd can change the way the United States operates, if George Floyd can change the world, then the death of Rita can change the world. We as Ugandans have got to believe that this is possible because it has happened to our neighbors. It has happened in Burkina Faso. It has happened in Sudan. It can happen to us. And the only way we can overcome this, the best solution that we have in our hands right now, is to vote and protect our vote. The most important part is to protect the victory. As soon as we protect the victory, we have the dictator gone, and we will have no more killings at all. For as long as the dictator is here, dictators don't hear dialogue. Dictators don't hear peace talks. Dictators only hear the violent language. The murders will continue, the death will continue until we choose to protect our victory when we vote in 2021, and the rest will be history. That is the only way. Thank you.
Thank you. Comrade Patricia.
JB, before Patricia.
All right.
For me, I want to look, Museveni, I know you're watching. This is for you. My question is, you made a statement a long time ago that you will never preside over a government that kills innocent people. What is happening right now? What are you doing right now? To me, I see you have you have lost control over the country because you're forgetting what you said you went in bushes for to fight over these things. So what are you doing? You said you will never preside over a government that kills innocent people. Innocent people are dying in Uganda every day. every day in different parts of the region. I know you're watching. Please leave our country alone. We can take care of ourselves. Leave our country. Thank you so much.
Okay, Comrade Patricia, can you conclude on that matter? And as you conclude, give us a solution.
And the solution at the end of the day is we need to vote these people out for once and for all. Kanya Obiga, he's whatever he is. It is very, very wrong that Ugandans continue not understanding and confusing what is right with what is wrong. These people that you keep on thinking that they're doing the right thing, they're not doing the right thing. They're being used by the president. It's very disrespectful for a man of your stature, Mr. Kanya Obiga, to be used by a man you're actually better than. But remember, I am saying this one more time. Ugandans will dance on your graves. Ugandans will break your statues. Look at what is happening in England and America. You have disrespected Ugandans. You have created vendetta in Ugandans' hearts. Ugandans are very calm people, but you have poked them enough. Ugandans are killed, and you like. Honorable Zake was brutalized, beaten, taken to hospital, and you come in everybody's in the parliament and you lie? How dare you? Ugandans will dance and they'll even break your statue. My name is Patricia Sewungu.
All right. Thank you, the Ann Lady, self-proclaimed Ann Lady, for that wonderful submission. Let us cross over to Comrade David all the way from California. I'm hoping he's having a wonderful morning in California. It is 10:26 a.m. Now, Mr. Sejinja, Uganda country has county security units, and our people have experienced the worst with these people, especially the LDUs. Mr. Sejinja, who is responsible for the actions of these militia vigilant groups and their misuse of the guns and, killing innocent civilians in Uganda? Who is responsible for this, Mr. Sejinja? Mr. Sejinja, can you unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can start off again, yes.
Okay. Fellow countrymen, ladies and gentlemen, she stood at the crossroads of Elegant Street in Masaka municipality located in Uganda, Africa. The rain in her face with the labor pains of yesterday's fete, she had no thought for an evil death. She was set for a medical check. The path before her was filled with kindness, with the dreams of her new baby to come. Bravely, she climbed on a motorbike of a good Samaritan. She was stopped by a gun-wielding barbaric local defense man, untrained, unsupervised, and with all powers given to him, with no remorse in his eyes and with the barrel of his gun, he fires at the pregnant mother, and her lifeless body lay on the wet tarmac. The rush to save her life was unsuccessful. Her race to life had been cut short. With no justice and government failure to account for her loss, another beautiful mother killed by a force with earthly power. A village mourns for a mother gone too soon. How long shall we lose innocent mothers? To brutal and ruthless killings of the regime, governments must bring perpetrators to justice. Pregnant mothers struggle to reach a hospital on foot. They die in labor camps. Their babies die in childbirth. With no public ambulance and no central number to call, the dictator has defaulted on protecting Ugandan mothers. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, the dictator has given Ugandan mothers a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. Insufficient funds that can't buy medicine in Ugandan hospitals, insufficient funds that can't rescue their husbands from rotten prisons, insufficient funds that can't take their children to get an education. Time is out for you to bring justice to Ugandan mothers. Time is out for you to bring peace, democracy, and decency. Time is out for empty words and empty promises. Our nation is crying for leadership, and this dictator has nothing to offer but more hatred, violence, and division. We will protest, we will fight, and will die. In not far time distance, a new people power government shall rise up to protect, to restore, and bring justice to the mothers. Dictator, get your knee off our necks. Get your knee off our mothers. Nagatha was her name. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade David Sejinja. Mr. Sejinja, we have laws in Uganda. Okay, maybe they are important, but yes, we have a constitution and we have laws. And to my understanding, we don't have a law which permits one to take one's life. When you look at the situation in our country, these killings and misuse of guns and violence, murder, and all of that seem to not come to an end, Mr. Sejinja. What would be the final solution to this? Because look, we have to put an end to this. Otherwise, our country is drifting in a totally different direction. What would you give as a solution?
As a solution, and we're going forward, two things. Number one, vote for President Kyagulanyi 2021. Number two, disband all the local defense units, vigilantes, and all military groups. They are the eyes and ears of the regime to steal and rig elections. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
May I make a submission, please?
Yes, Mr. Abili, you can give us a supplement on that.
Thank you, Comrade Captain Sejinja, for that wonderful poem and submission. I just want to add on his submission part of the solution that we can come up with. Uganda and People Power Movement, we need to start working with international organizations. And such international organizations include the United Nations. We have the International Criminal Court of Justice. We have the European Union. We have the United States government that plays a big influence in the world. We need to talk to these organizations, hold them accountable for dealing with a dictatorial government in such a way, because if we only focus pressure on the Ugandan government, then we might not yield so much. But if we focus pressure on the Ugandan government and also those other organizations that can hold them accountable, come 2021, we shall end dictatorship in Uganda. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Comrade Abili. Comrade Lutakomoy, you want to have a word? Yeah, I'm not getting you.
I said when he spoke, tears came to my eyes. The fact is, what bewitched us Ugandans, Laluoro Odaga Imene, the coward should go back to the womb of the mother. So what am I saying? Let us be organized. You know, an organized load of sheep is more organized, can defeat a disorganized bunch of lions. So I think 2021 should reconstruct our mindset so that we see that enough is enough. We come together as one and defeat this regime. Otherwise, it will be a new normal to have fear and stupidity. It is foolhardy to think that this guy can go easily like that. We must come together and act. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Comrade Lutakomoy.
Mr. Moderator, can I say one other thing?
Perfect, you can go on.
Just last year alone, the bodies of more than 20 women, many strangled, mutilated, were found after being dumped into neighborhoods close to the Ugandan capital. Scores more people have been kidnapped, killed, murdered. The abuse of power and police brutality is so pathetic that with no transparency, with so much corruption, so much fraud and misappropriation of money, corruption has hindered investigating high-profile cases. We need to come to an end of this brutal dictatorial regime. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Comrade David. Is there anyone who wants to give a comment?
Just a supplement.
Yeah, I will come a supplement.
My supplement was to say to our fellow Ugandans, to speak to all of us to understand one reality, is that dictators don't easily give up power. Dictators are pushed out of power. And our role is to push out the dictator. And how do we push out the dictator as Ugandans? We have the last chance. Our last chance is to go and vote. And how different are we going to do it this time than the other times that we've done it? The difference this time is to protect what you've put in the ballot box. If you walk back home, you cannot claim rigging. That is our only way to go. And the chance is now. Thank you.
Yes, hello?
All right, thank you.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Mr. Sally.
David Sally. So, in addition to that, right now, our government has totally failed in all aspects. What bothers me so much that General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni claims that he has fought so many wars, but he has failed to win a war of psychological understanding. It just takes just minutes or one overnight to decide and say, enough is enough. Let me give Ugandans the liberty to vote the person whom they feel like. He has been firing guns, bullets, and what have you. But the war of thinking to leave Ugandans alone, he has failed to digest it. Nothing much other than him standing up one day and he says, enough is enough, I'm not coming back. Let him think twice and bring back his glory. He can make it. It's never too late. But by not coming back on the ballot paper, he has wasted enough. He has done enough. Let him come down. Let Ugandans rejoice when President Museveni hasn't come back on the ballot paper. Thanks so much.
May I add on that, JB?
Unfortunately, let us stop on that because we are against time.
Okay.
All right, let's cross over to Boston and talk to our brother, David Mubiru. It is supposed to be, if I was in Boston, I would be having lunch maybe because it's the time is perfect for lunch. Comrade Mubiru, the president has come up several times to address the nation on COVID-19 pandemic. What's your take with all these addresses as they came? Did they help Ugandans and Uganda as a whole?
Thank you so much, Comrade JB. It's a pleasure, and I thank everybody who is watching. Coming to the bunch of lies and mockery that General Museveni has come up with, there has been nothing done in good faith while dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic. Ugandans have paid a huge price, while him and his cronies have made it a frenzy to rob Uganda, just like, of course, the past 35 years. There is a saying that, fool me once, shame on you, and fool me twice, shame on me. From the exorbitant testing kits, other countries buy a testing kit at $3.5. Uganda's testing kit is $65 US. We wonder where those ones are manufactured. When it comes to food, many Ugandans have donated food. Money plus vehicles to help during this pandemic. We only saw a handful of people receiving food, which food was even bad, rotten, and again, labeled with stigmatized statements like vulnerable poor. One wonders where the good food, the meat we saw, the other matoke, the good food that was offered by Ugandans, where did it go? Of course, we can think of some people under this regime whom are soon opening up businesses after the post-COVID-19 pandemic, doing business. Some individuals like Honorable Zake gave out food to their immediate neighbors. But instead of guiding such people to be safe while carrying out this kind of practice to help up their neighbors, as if Zake has shared a woman with this general in leadership, he's always brutalized. Like, we just can't believe that this young man has always been a target to Mr. President. As rumors say, there is something wrong with how Zake targeted his relationships. We believe there is something. When it comes to these addresses, Mr. President never allowed anyone Sorry, guys, I have an emergency here. JB, would you carry on, please?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
I'll be with you shortly. Thank you.
Yeah, let us cross over to my brother from Sweden. But before we cross over to my brother, Don, MJ Don, maybe a comrade could do supplement on the issue that I was on. Mr. Mobile was commenting on. Anyone can comment, can continue from where he stopped. Because look, these are all issues we have an idea about.
Yes, yeah, Comrade Muwonge, I think for me, it seems like this campaign of distributing food is another way to usher in a new socialism in a modern Ugandan historical and political dimension. We are not all that poor to be given free food. We have our agriculture sectors that were in operation before the dictator killed them. So don't give me food with stones and tell me you're doing me charity. Give me my land back. Give me my house back. Give me my jobs back. Create great factories. Create an employment that is equal to all. Stop nepotism. And as those are created with our new coming government in waiting, all this will be solved. But stop giving me food on conditions that I vote you back. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Comrade Deputy. Now,
say what? Just 1 minute.
Yes.
It's people must understand that at the end of the day, Museveni has turned himself into a one-man show. Because as they were giving away the food, some people couldn't afford it, especially in the cities, because even in England, they were giving food reliefs, even in America, everywhere food were given. Why couldn't the RSC chairman give away the food? Why do they also have to use the police with guns to give the food? Why can't Ugandans see all this? What is wrong with us? They're giving you wrong food, number one. They're using the police to give you the food, number two. They're not even distributing the food correctly, number three. And all this still hanging. Some people had already given away money to help, but still some people didn't have food. We saw a lady just last week, she was eating matoke, covers of matoke. That is how desperate that food is given to pigs and cows. That is what she was eating with children.
Thank you, Comrade Patricia. This question now is going to all of you, comrades. Actually, Comrade Mubiru is back.
Yes.
And let me start from here. Okay, I believe first to complete your submission, and then I'll fire you this other question later when you are done.
Thank you so much, Comrade JB. Sorry about that glitch, but I was saying that General Museveni has ignored the the working class, people who have saved also their monies with NSSF, they only ask for a small portion to better their life, to support themselves as they continue with this pandemic. But that didn't also come to pass. We've seen countries like Kenya, we've seen countries like Kenya, even here in the US, there's been help with money, people to help each other, people to help themselves, and people to help to get food during the pandemic. He opened up the malls. We understand only the malls that he opened up, he has ownership, either himself or other members in his, of course, his cronies. When it comes to the cargo that he claimed that people who were moving were cargo merchants, this was it's common knowledge that this was his cargo, personal cargo. It was his milk and meat being transported. He's so disconnected from the people. He forgets that Ugandans live from hand to mouth. He promised masks in 2 weeks. It's now 2 months. There are no we haven't seen any Ugandan having a mask. We wonder where all these over 700 cases are coming from. We cannot wonder because we know that he exposed everybody. When it comes to the COVID-19 positive patients, these people were seen put together in one room. How are they going to recover from a novel pandemic? How are they going to recover while put together? But we can clearly see this is a bunch of lies. They put people together to have a budget, come up with a budget that they can solicit money, of course, from the government coffers in the guise of having this huge number of people to take care of. I would like to say that other countries have put people in their own homes, isolated and monitored from their own homes until they need extra help. They need ventilators. That's when they are put into hospitals or places that are taking care of the pandemic. Fellow Ugandans, let's unite. Let's vote out this dictatorship. Let's vote for Honorable Kyagulanyi and people power candidates all over the country. We can do this. Let's protect our votes and let's fight until the end. Like Martin Luther King said, when people, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. This matters. Ugandans, please wake up. It's time. We need to do this.
Thank you, Comrade Derek Mubilu. Now, this last one.
Can I chime in, Mr. JB?
Yeah, as you join in, also take this into perspective.
Okay.
The president of any country communicates through such kind of speeches. And the sentiments from our people believe at the age of our president, he cannot write for himself such kind of speeches. And now I want to know, who is responsible for writing such kind of speeches, which majority of you are claiming that they were useless, that nothing fruitful came out of those speeches? And look, if the worst comes to the worst, what should an ordinary Ugandan deep down there in the villages of Muwonge do? Because look, we have to get a solution. My aim is you guys to give me or to give our viewers a solution, because we have to put back our country to the right trajectory. Comrade Karim Mutambi, you can start from there.
Okay, thank you so much, JB. For starters, I don't think the speeches were really meant for Ugandans. You know,
Right.
Museveni was speaking directly to the donor community to collect as much money as possible. That's why at the beginning of the crisis, he was making these speeches. He was on air. It looked like he had his own TV show. So after getting the money and the donations, we are not seeing anybody. At the beginning of the crisis, we saw the National Task Force on Recovery ready, receiving donations and food to be given away. Right now, the situation has been politicized. Only if you align with the ruling government, you can even distribute food to your neighbor. You are not allowed. Like I said, the headmaster of a primary school in Mukono was shot down 2 days ago for breaking a curfew. Whereas Museveni and these people keep moving around the country as they want, no opposition leader as of now is allowed to go to their constituency to give money or to give food. Such small donations, despite the fact that people are in lockdown, people are inside their homes, Museveni is doing this one tactfully to make Ugandans starve so that he runs the clock. By the time we reach the campaign, he's going to be moving around with lorries of money on his campaign trail. So he's coming on a campaign trail with a lorry of food to give people who have been starved and locked down in their houses for so long. So I think besides us speaking out on these issues, we should also expose what this government has really done and what it stands for. It doesn't stand for Ugandans. They are standing for themselves. The loans that we got from IMF, the 495 that is going to go for small businesses, wait, the people are going to get the money. It's Diana Twine. Is going to be Rukuntana. It is not going to be your mother who wants to develop their Matoke garden. It is not going to develop my own constituency. They gave money to hospitals. I have a hospital in my ancestral home, Chamaliba Hospital. That hospital has taken a toll. It was vital during the HIV/AIDS research in the late 80s and early 90s. Right now, that would have been one of the hospitals that we look into in such places. But no, there are no services, yet the money came in. So we should expose these people for who they are. The greed and hunger for power is really unimaginable. And it should be us to take them out. And the only way we can take them out is if we stand up, 2021, rise up and vote bottom up from our local councils to parliament to the president. We vote people that are going to represent us. Lastly, if you would give me this, I think we should also consider a comprehensive overhaul of how our government is run. For example, we need to look into separation of powers. We need to have an executive that is separate from the legislation, that is separate from the judiciary. For example, you find an NRM cadre which is the ruling party. He works for the executive as a minister, cabinet minister. He's a member of parliament. He's an army general. That person has been overpowered. He's answerable to no one. He's the legislature, he's the executive. So if you are the judge, you cannot face this person because he works for the ruling party. That's why you have seen so many instances when these arrogant NRM ministers would tell somebody, oh, go and hang if you want to go and report me to Jesus, because we don't have separation of powers. You cannot have a cabinet minister in the executive, be in a parliament. We adopted a system from the British that we failed to handle. So unless we vote, we are going to continue having the same ministers, being the same parliamentarians. And you wonder, is this minister working for the NRM or for the people they represent? So thank you so much, JB.
All right.
If I could.
Let's stop there. Let's stop there on that issue. We are against time. We are left with a little time. I want to.
May I conclude with one?
Okay.
Yes, I would like to ask all our fellow comrades in the struggle, all our fellow comrades in the diaspora, please, whenever you can, lend a hand, donate. We have the money. We can help these people in Uganda. Whenever you get a chance, please support everyone. Ugandans are ready for this struggle. They are ready to vote, and I'm sure they are ready to protect their votes. We need to support them here and there in terms of logistics. I'm sure this struggle will be won. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Comrade Donkey.
Maybe add on that.
Angela, I'm sorry, I'm going to deny you that chance.
Okay.
Time, we are against time. I want to cross over to Comrade MJ Don from Sweden. Sweden, hope you are doing fine, Comrade. You are on?
Yes, I'm home. Thank you.
All right, all right. Hope to have you on the show. If things are good there in Sweden, here in Uganda, things are not good at all, especially when it comes to employees. Of recent, the government came out with an alternative and suggested that each employee should contribute at least 10,000 Ugandan shillings. Do you know how much that is to an ordinary Ugandan? So I want you to comment on that, Comrade.
Yeah, thank you so much, our moderator tonight, and I'd also pass on the greetings to all comrades in the struggle, especially those back home who are facing this catastrophe. First and foremost, I would say, like, this kind of our government is so disrespectful, shameful, and heartless. Actually, for me, I would describe that as being, they are just mocking us. That's mockery. Why should I say that? Remember, before even that task force came out to ask for the employees to donate 10,000 shillings each, remember that Ugandans had voluntarily contributed 21 billions. On top of that, we had the 59 billions that were passed by the parliament that have not been accounted for. I think this is really mockery, because why should I say it is really mockery? Because the Ugandan government has really showed that if Ugandans don't really raise up, they are already to milk even the milk that is left a little bit for the calf, at least also to finish it, so that Ugandans don't have anything even to benefit from. I will say something. We have a saying in our language that buli enkembo lweni n'omuti lwesinga okwolesa obwerere bwayo. Literally, in English, it means like the more the monkey claims the trees, the more it exposes the buttocks. These guys of overstaying in power, it has really exposed them. Do you remember that President Museveni was donating 1.4 M to the COVID-19 task force? 1.4 M.
Claimed he earns 3.5, somewhere there?
Sorry?
He claimed he earned 3.5, so it was like, let me donate.
Yeah, he claimed he earns 3.5. And then, in my opinion, I'm asking myself, why, if he says he earns 3.5, why couldn't he then resign from the post of presidents so he can stand for MPship? Because at least MPs get over 30 million. It also continued to, this COVID-19 issue has also continued to expose even those people, the little bit that we had some trust in them. For example, our Speaker of Parliament, before she was silent on the issue of how the money was spent. But I remember when they mentioned on the 20 million, she had even called the press conference. She told us how they had given the pregnant women, our mothers, the expired milk using the budget that they had passed in the parliament, and members are not complaining on that. She continued to say that the money that was passed, about 59 billion, it bought food that was rotten. But remember, before they talked, before the public complained about the 20M, she was silent. What does this depict? It depicts that now Ugandans are on themselves. If they don't come up and raise up, it is them, you know, they said that when the elephants fight, it's the grass to suffer. The Ugandans, especially those on the grassroots, they will continue to suffer because these people, they don't care about them at all. They are on themselves.
Comrade Don.
I'll also continue to say, yes, please.
I want you to comment on this also. Don't you think it would be selfish of us to deny people who want to give money to the COVID tax, that 10,000? Don't you think it would be selfish of us to deny someone who wants to give in their money?
It would be selfish if our leaders are accounting for this money. It would be selfish if these monies orphans that we are contributing, they are reaching the vulnerables. But as I talk of now, I know very well all over the country, different districts, we have seen first the members of parliament pretending that they are returning the 20 million to the task force. But it is only 2 districts that they have talked of, Kampala and Wakiso, and not even a quarter of them that have got this food. On top of that, they have got a lot of donations. They have not even accounted for that. Remember, before actually this saga came about, they were fighting amongst themselves how they shared this 20 million, how they passed the 51 billion for the security and so on. I think actually Ugandans are more patriotic because actually they don't even need to be told to pay the 10,000 voluntarily. Remember, they had contributed 21 billion before they called for this voluntarily. So I think,
as you, Mr.
for the interest of time, I'll conclude. Yes.
Yes.
Comrade, as you continue, I want you to integrate in the solution to all this, because we are looking for solutions that will help us redirect our country back the right trajectory.
First, the solution to these contributions, whoever feels like wants to contribute should stop contributing directly to the task force, because we know it will not reach the beneficiaries. 2, we need to end the regime of President Museveni come 2021. They have showed that they don't care about us. You remember when Honorable Kyagulanyi wanted to return, wanted just to get a permission to return our brothers and sisters who were suffering in China because of racism. Do you remember how the government responded? The way the Speaker of Parliament, the one at least we had the little respect, she was so angry. And they said, like, Ugandans are all over the world. But remember, just a few weeks, if not days later, she was saying how Eddie Kenzo called her and she was going to advocate for his return. That means that our leaders we have, they are no longer really thinking about us. They are thinking about themselves. Or people that are around them. Remember, some Kutesa also, they had to get a flight to return their family home. So before us thinking about this 10,000, of course, I know members first, they should stop contributing directly to the task force. Secondly, come 2021, let's go and vote in big numbers. You know, it is easy to rig election if the votes are not enough.
Yes.
But let's have them in big numbers so you cannot even rig. Secondly, let's be ready to demonstrate peacefully. I know, and I think President Museveni, now I look into the camera, you have been doing this over and over again for the past elections. But now this time, we are ready. You will no longer survive 2021 because we are very much aware that if we don't defeat you in 2021, Mohos will come after you. And we have that possibility of being under your regime even after your death. So members, our comrades, Ugandans back home, 2021 is the only time we have. Either 2021 or never. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Comrade John.
Just a supplement, JB.
Okay, just 1 minute and we'll go to our final guest.
I want to thank the comrade for the great, Comrade Don from Sweden for the presentation. But we as Ugandans need to ask ourselves one question, is that the 10,000 that is being charged from all members that are in the employment fraternity, what kind of people are being charged here? We are talking about a country that has an average salary of 48,000 shillings. We are talking about a country of the African Business Report in 2018 that stipulates that 35% of the population is living under $0.90 per day. That is below the poverty line. So an ordinary Ugandan or a normal Ugandan who is watching us here needs to understand, why would people be discouraged from donating? One, there is no accountability. Two, you are already milking a dead cow. The people are already can't afford their lives. They can't afford anything, and then you continue to charge the 10,000 that is not even going to be accounted for. So we as Ugandans, where do we go, and how do we deal with this? We don't donate to the task force. That is reality, because there is no accountability. That's my submission.
Right. Thank you for that wonderful submission, Comrade, the African thinker, and the MJ Don from Sweden. Now let's cross over to our last guest, Comrade David, all the way from Dubai. It's getting late in Dubai. Comrade David, sir. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you well. Can you hear me well?
Good to have you, Mr. Sali. Now, the government came out and made the promises of giving every Ugandan free masks a few weeks back. It didn't stop on that. It went ahead and they made another promise of giving each village 2 television sets for the students to conduct lessons from there and all of that. What's your take on the feasibility of this promise and its implementation?
So thanks so much, Mr. JB. And also I would like to thank my comrades live on what's going on right now under COVID-19 and the situation in Uganda. Right now, what I may say is that it's a shame to the government within 35 years in power that it cannot provide just mere masks to its people. Right now, the COVID-19 number is in, and the government has failed to provide masks. Should we then put it on the government? That is part and parcel of the situation which is going on right now, that the government has engineered the spread of COVID-19 for having failed to give the masks to Ugandans. They have sabotaged the other people who would give masks, politicizing each and everything. Yet they are Ugandans who are capable of doing so according to their regions or societies, and they remained looking on how to remain in power. So right now the president came out and he made a statement which you do not think that any head of state can make. And we Ugandans, we are ashamed to the whole world that it was a mistake, just a mistake to the medics to bring out the results which we are not analyzed well. Yet the whole country, people are losing their lives. And you just come out reluctantly, maliciously, as the head of state, and you announce such statements. Don't we have some people who are so technical that they would come up and speak such? So in conclusion, we may say, and we may ask ourselves, is it really Uganda have COVID-19, which is in any other country? Or we are having a different COVID-19 that the MPs can get huge amount of money, which would have been put on buying masks and providing even other things to protect Ugandans, that they have converged in the parliament trying to see how they can share the money which was given by World Health Organization by themselves, leaving Ugandans suffering, suffocating. And even majority of them who have been locked down, they have lost their lives even before the COVID-19. President came out and put some remedies to Ugandans who were locked down, but others have been killed by bullets. Others have been killed by not having what to eat. How many people have died of COVID-19? Before we ask ourselves that other people have lost their lives. Should we embrace COVID-19 to protect COVID-19 when the Ugandans are losing their lives at the expense of protecting COVID-19? Then what is the situation in Uganda? You leaders, we know that you are hearing us very well. You were voted by people to take the responsibility of your offices, but you have done nothing. You have done, people are crying, people are suffocating, people have been oppressed under your leadership. What else would you want Ugandans to do? Everyone in tears. Yes, please.
Just like the way you put it, in the pretext of them wanting to protect the COVID-19, of course, they came up with that narrative, I just call it a narrative, of wanting to provide masks for each and every Ugandan. Of course, it's a reality. Every Ugandan should have a mask, as in we have to protect lives. But how are we going to help our people who are deep down there in the villages, still waiting for the government? What solution do you give to those people?
Yes, the solution I would give to those people, we have understood very well that the government has totally failed to meet its promises for the Ugandans to be well. So the last which we can do is just to vote out the regime, and we vote someone who can take care of ourselves, who can take care of us rather, and even to emphasize on whoever who is around you, you inform him what is going on. It's not that the way you were created by God to go through what you are going through right now, but it's the government in power which has contributed, which is part and parcel of your being, either good or bad. Those ones who are well off, they don't mind about as you have seen very well that the government has failed to provide the masks. The television is set, and whatsoever which was promised is all in vain. So what else would we say to the Ugandans? Please, at the date of voting, 2021, go out and you vote the movement of people power, which is led by Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. Because the little he has, but he has done more than what the government would do.
All right.
So thanks so much.
Thank you, Comrade Sally. And thank you, everyone, for your great contributions. It has been a wonderful show. Comrades, you are great. I know if we continue doing this, if we continue waking up the minds that are still lost, I'm sure very many will wake up and realize that it's high time we got involved. Now, I want each and every one of you to give a final remark. I know you're from different countries, it's getting late. Some of you want to go to work and you come from different tribes here and there. So when you're giving your final remark, you can mix in with your mother language and talk to your brothers and sisters deep down there in the villages. Let's start with Angela.
Thank you, everyone. My final remark is I'm urging everyone. Right now, Uganda is under military rule. Let's shift from that and go to the civilian leadership. People power tugenda kuleta chi? Tugenda kuleta amateeka, tugenda kuzza amateeka agakola. People power tugenda kuzzaawo judicial system, tugenda gizaawo oba tugiseparating it from what it is right now. Everything get independent. The executive leadership is going to be independent. Tomugenda kulaba muntu nga ono yakulira ono teyasoma ate yakulira education gundi. No, we are bringing policies that are going to work for every one of us as Ugandans. Democracy is coming back. Everyone will be accountable. Vote for Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu in order to see a new Uganda, a new beginning, and a new world. Thank you so much.
All right, comrade.
What it is right now, if it get independent, the executive leadership.
Thank you so much, viewers and comrade J.B. Muwonge. There's a wonderful saying that says that it's never over until when it's finished. I know we are getting close to the finishing line. 2020 is just knocking on the door. And I want to urge Ugandans, why do we support Robert Kyagulanyi? They're just quick notes on why we support Kyagulanyi. One, we support policy reforms. That means we need to reform our institutions. We need separation of power. We need to segregate the duties regarding the different branches of government, like the judiciary, the executive, and so on. So we believe that with a proper policy reform, that Uganda will become the Pearl of Africa that it's meant to be. You asked us to talk to people in our languages. I'll talk to people in the Lango area. Joduchi Lao Yauni 2021 Imi Wunu Robert Kyagulanyi Kwir Molok Uganda Poyon. Thank you.
For your matek. Let's go to Comrade Don from Sweden.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, in nutshell, as I've always been saying, that the only way to end this impunity that is happening in our country, there are majorly two things that we are going to do. First is to vote, is to vote Museveni out of power overwhelmingly, that even when he tries to rig the elections, he cannot reach us. Two, we know very well that other contestants or other opponents have been trying to contest against him, and is good at that, good at rigging elections. And then we as the opponents who try to go to the courts of law, we have seen very well that all these courts of law believe in him, they work for him. We shall never get justice from these courts of law. So the best way forward is to go to the streets. In case he rigs the elections, quote me right, we go to the streets and we demonstrate peacefully. And we know very well he's going to use violence as the way he's always used. Actually, it is them that they first use violence against us. What we should do also, as Martin Luther, the King, said, the violence is the only language that is hard, that is for the unheard. People who are not heard, they use violence. And also, our constitution allows us to rise against this regime. We should come up in big numbers. We have seen a couple of times, like for the past elections, where a message says, okay, now we have work to work, we are going to demonstrate peacefully. Then you see, of all the people in Uganda, we see only 20, 30 people coming out. We don't come out vehement to support him in large numbers so that we can overthrow this government. This time around, I call upon people to come in large numbers, because this is the only opportunity we have. As I've said prior, if we don't take Museveni out of power 2021, they have the Muhoozi regime is real. They are planning, we have seen it. Now Muhoozi is on social media trying to project himself for 2026. So in a nutshell, members, we only have 2021 if we want to end this regime. If we don't, then I think we are finished. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Comrade. Comrade African Thinker.
Thank you, everyone who has been able to attend our conference today, launching the Red Friday, a Friday that we all want to continue advocating for freedom and justice in Uganda, where we expose what the dictator has put us through. But I want to be very brief in my remarks, in my conclusion. I need to say this to fellow countrymen. For all our leaders that have been here before, that want to stand as presidents, leaders like Dr. Kizza Besigye, leaders like Norbert Mao, and all our leaders. My message is to say, can we put country before self? Can we understand that there is a lion in the room, that we need to get an elephant in the room, that we need to get out first, and then we'll come back to our interests first? Because what is our biggest problem right now in the country? Our biggest problem is the dictator. If we put country before self, we will then not stand tomorrow and say we want to stand as presidents, despite the fact that the Constitution allows us to. Let us put country before self. Let us first kick the elephant in the room out, and then we'll come back to our own interests. I want to say to fellow Ugandans that change is more than possible. For us Ugandans right now, we have got everything that we need to get rid of the dictator. The matter is just to believe, that we can do this. And Honorable Kyagulanyi has displayed this. Let's go in overwhelming numbers. Let us go and vote. Let us go and protect our vote, because what is people power? What do we stand for? All we need is equal rights. We want the man riding a border to have the same rights like the Minister of Defense. That is what we're fighting for, an equal economy and equal rights. Democracy for all. I thank you, comrades. Let's go and vote. Let's go and take out the dictator. All factors are on our side. I thank you.
Welcome, Comrade David Sejinja.
Thank you very much, our audience and fellow comrades. I've got a question for all of Ugandans in the diaspora and Ugandans at home. Are you better off now than you were before the dictator came to power? Again, I ask, are you better off now than you were before the dictator came to power? Basebo ne banyabo, batata ne bamama, babase tufiiriddwa naye luliba lumu tujja kujaganya nga kijambiya tumuggyeko nga tututte ensi mu maaso. People power egenda kukola omulimu gwa nsusso, egenda ku increasing transparency and reduce corruption, egenda kuyamba okuzza obujja ebyensoma, okujja obuzza ebya health, n'okuyamba ettutumu ensi yaffe okudda ku mutindo. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala. Vote people power 2021 President Kyagulanyi.
Thank you very much. Comrade Patricia Seung. Unmute.
Your mic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I always say that people in the diaspora have got almost 40% stake in the change of Uganda in 2021. Because remember, in when Museveni was fighting, Amama Mbabazi was somewhere making sure that things were moving forward. Remember that when you're fighting a dictator, the best thing to break him is breaking his chain of getting money. He gets money in, they pretend to call it aid, but this is not aid, it's trade. They use that money to buy guns. So Ugandans, please get your pens now. We have so many educated Ugandans in the diaspora. Please, this is the time that you need to use your books, computers, and knowledge. Write to people. You see what the English people did? They copied what they did to Putin. They did so many things to Abramovich. They made sure that Abramovich was on his knees. They made sure that Al-Fayed loses Harrods. It was very simple, very systematic, but quite easy. Let us break the chain of distribution between Uganda and the countries, because these people will listen if you give them proof. There is Rosebud and Tebe. That is for Sudil. It is in Holland. If you write to them, show them the conditions of how the people working in those gardens, because Uganda has the best roses in the whole world. You can Google it. Write to these people and tell them that Uganda people are dying. You guys are not only doing business with Uganda, but you're supporting death. You're supporting Ugandans to be killed. They'll give you and they'll speak and they'll tell him to sort himself with the people. There is Oxfam in UK. That is a charity organization. There
You
is
have 20 seconds, Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
You have 20 seconds left.
Okay. We have Red Nose. They send money to Katanga every year. That money has no accountability. That money is used to buy guns to kill Ugandans. We have children in need. Please, Ugandans, write to Tesco, write to White Rose. Tell them that Ugandans are being killed as you guys pretend to send charity. This is not charity, this is aid. Thank you.
All right, Comrade, thank you, Patricia. Comrade Sally from Dubai.
Yes, hello. Thanks so much for hosting us. Era nyongera okwebaza n'ababadde ku platform kuno discussant. Thanks so much. Naye what I want to deliver to all Ugandans, especially those ones who are in diaspora, you have seated where you are. What have you done for your nation? You don't need to have much to do something. Whatever little you have, it can make change. You have people at home. What information do you disseminate to your people? Everyone can do something. According to your type of work, you can do something. If you're a border guy, you can ride your border, but preaching the doctrines of people power. If you're a farmer, you can give people food if you have a surplus, but please preach the doctrines of people power. If you're a teacher, please in a class, teach about people power and the change. And let me talk about to these soldiers who are holding guns. Those guns, they are just items, but I know you have brains. You have mind, you have kids, you have even families. Think about something before you do it. Suppose they have shot one of your relatives, how would you feel before you shoot anyone? Those people who are in power, just imagine when you are not in that office and you are treated the same way you are treating others, how would you feel? This goes to the president of Uganda right now. General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, olwanye entalo nyingi nnyo, ofuze ebbanga erimala. Bannayuganda bakuwadde buli kimu kye weetaaga. Moi bwe yali ava mu bukulembeze, yalabanga okulemera ku buyinza Kenya kye yali ayina ojjuwa kwe kuva mu bukulembeze n'emirembe bwe yali tayagala n'aziyiza okuyiika kw'omusaayi kw'abanna Kenya. Please, President Yoweri Museveni, you have had enough. Please step down amicably. Gezaako okuziyiza okufa kw'abantu nga tokomyewo kujja ku bukulembeze kubanga ofuze ekimala. Thanks so much. Mwebale nnyo mwebale 2021 mulonde Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade. Comrade Karim Ntambi.
Oh. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. JB, for giving us the opportunity. I would want to also thank everyone who has participated in my project. We are going strong. I commend you guys for sticking up for 2 hours and talking about issues that are so pertinent, not only to us, but for the country. First of all, kitalo nnyo abafiiriddwa muzeeyi Eric Tasiga yesterday, headmaster w'essomero Mukono. That's so sad. He was one of our own. We have to realize that this is coming close to home. The more they shoot our people, the more it comes close to you. So another thing I wanted to say before I leave, let us stand together and collectively demand the immediate unconditional release of our comrade, Lydia Namayengo. She's been detained today in Mukono, together with other people power coordinators in the area. We demand her unconditional release because she was illegally detained. I'd also like to ask us to join hands in demanding the unconditional release of one of our comrades. He always stands with us. He's a comrade in Ghana. He's from an organization called Fighters League of Ghana. His name is Ernesto Yeboe. He has been also detained. So let us stand together in solidarity with our friends in Ghana in demanding justice for one of our own. They are always standing together with us in solidarity, so we should also do the same. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, for giving us this opportunity. I'm looking forward for more of this. Thank you, JB Muwonge. People Power 2021.
People Power, our power. Comrade Patricia Namiaro.
Thank you very much, comrades that are on the panel today, and the listeners that listened in. JB Muwonge, thank you for hosting us. My message is to the youth. When Bobiwine was tortured back in 2018, almost killed, when his driver was killed, he got the opportunity to come here in the United States and advocate for Ugandans and also get treatment. I attended the town hall meeting. You know, what we need to understand is that Bobiwine could very well have stayed in the diaspora. Any country would have been more than happy to receive him and host him for life. But he came back to Uganda, putting his own life at risk. And why? He put his life at risk, the life of his family members at risk. Lots of his friends and comrades have died in this struggle. And what I want the youth to understand is that he came back for you. He came back to liberate you. And so when you go to vote in the next election, the 2021 election, you're not just casting a vote for Bobiwine. You are going to be casting a vote for yourself. Londa Kyagulanyi, thank you very much, and rest in peace, Eric Mutasinga. Thank you.
Thank you. Last to the comrade Derek Mubiru. Comrade Derek. Oh, I think Comrade Derek Mubiru is not available. And yeah, I think let's close this meeting, this online engagement. You guys have had a wonderful and brilliant ideas. Please, if you are called upon next time, answer that call. People need this. People, feeding the mind is like bathing. People need it every now and then. Let us not assume that our people know these things. We needed to keep updating their mind about what's going on here in Uganda. But more so, let's encourage our people to go down deep in the villages, because look, anyone who can access a smartphone, maybe a computer, I'm sure 80% or 70% are not blind to the fact of what's going on in Uganda. But they are our comrades deep down in the villages who need this information. So to whoever is watching us, I would request you kindly, if you can play your tiny role, continue spreading this message further beyond the Facebook borders, beyond the borders of social media, because we cannot access televisions, we were banned from appearing on TVs and all of that. But look, we can't just keep and look on. We have to find a solution. So the solution is one. Each one of us can do a tiny role. Whatever you do, at the end of the day, if we keep adding those dots, I assure you, victory is on our side. Lastly, we were supposed to have a comrade Lydia Namayengo, and she was supposed to discuss the NSSF support during this COVID, the 20% payout that the government declined. Unfortunately, we were unable to have her on the show. She was arrested today. She's detained at Mukono, and we should raise voices. We should raise voices for her unconditional release because she was illegally detained. It has been a wonderful show, and yeah, let's end here. I salute you, and bye-bye. Once again, I'm John Baptist Muwonge. Most of you know JB Muwonge. Let's continue spreading the message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.